doors are closing. So hi everyone, I'm Mantas. Happy to be in Tel Aviv. I hope tomorrow I'll still have a plane back home. So basically today I'm going to talk about how to maintain sustainable development, how not to slip on slops, how to stay productive and still deliver a better quality code to production. So a little bit about me. So father of three, joined Wix 12 years ago. So all people still know me, right? The backend guild, and TDD was kind of official way to do to ship code to production back in the days. So kind of it's stuck with me. I love countryside, hiking, and people know me that I'm kind of like to play with those hardware toys and do some embedded systems engineering. Little about my team. So we started back in July, delivering Wixel PDF and icons, kind of a full stack product. For devs, 1 PM, 1 UX. Everyone is coding, later I'll show. And our stack, probably we're one of those few teams that got serious about WASM. And let's say we have a PDF logic, kind of editing logic, manipulating logic fully in Rust. Why we're talking about it? So I will not tell anything new. We're pushing much more code to production. Sometimes we push not the best code to production. AI is really lazy bastard, just slacking on the quality things, including tests. Sometimes we suffer from context erosion, and eventually we end up bottlenecked by code reviews. And this boils down to kind of bigger production risks. So we are kind of in the era where we have power of two, right? So sort of like partnership. And there's a good reason why AI still is not in a position to deliver code independently. It lacks judgment, it lacks accountability, understanding the big picture, like, world picture, doesn't care a lot about quality, about performance, right? And generally, what are risks and what are consequences of bad code in production. So we need a better process. We need a workflow where we enforce our requirements, where the workflow that is self-correcting and kind of self-improving. We have to be aware of our safety nets, always, going to production, inside code, inside CI. We have to keep our code base maintainable by both agents and in kind of bad or worst case scenario, us coming back to that code. And generally, we have to be in a position where we can deliver code without fear of deploying, of changing, refactoring, redesigning, kind of coming up with just better ideas how to do stuff. TLDR, we need a contract between human and AI. So around 9 months ago, kind of when I started this new team, I had some time to kind of play with agentic coders, back in these rules. Kind of now we have skills, right? So like things are evolving. And I kind of knew already that TDD is an approachable workflow. Test-driven development is an approachable workflow to kind of work with AI. However, I struggled a lot to force AI, to convince AI to write proper tests, comprehensible tests, tests that actually test something. Of course, I didn't want to write tests myself and just leave the fun part to agent, right? So I wanted the whole experience. And I kind of came up with thing that works, kind of with a rule set, with skill set, and most of my kind of this skill set is based on this book. growing object-oriented software guided by tests. I think everyone in Wix, like Gen engineers today, kind of knew this book at least like 10 years ago plus. Yeah, title may be a bit confusing, like TDD, growing object and software. So yeah, but there's a philosophy around this. So why growing? It's basically we start with something like new repository, right? And we're kind of adding code to it. And while adding code, we have to keep code well structured, well maintained, and just that any complex system kind of just originated from a simple system. And it's kind of recursively going forward. And why guided? We always, like in our day-to-day, we kind of start with expressing intent, what we want to do. When we start the first prompt, we write a prompt, so that's our intent, right? So yeah, we express intent, then code. We plan, then code, and so on. And generally, TDD is kind of, the book is advocating that it's just better way to do better code, that it's a design support tool, that it gives safety nets and feedback to you to improve the system, and so on. So a little bit how TDD is done in classical way. Yeah, arrows missing. So let's say I have a button on to do, right? So I start by writing acceptance tests. Like click this button with sled, with the sled guy. Like click this button and kind of something should happen. So I have this test failing, like I keep it just failing as a guide that when this test will pass, my feature will be complete, I'm gonna push a PR, right? That's as simple as that. Then I go to implementation details. Having this kind of smaller unit tests, integration tests, kind of shaping the system together. Then we make this small test pass, a unit test or integration test. With this step, we gain a behavior that will not go away already, right? So we get system working. However, the code is maybe shit, maybe it's security like here, like let's say interpolation. And the last step is refactoring. It's basically we just make the code nice, secure, and basically move on. And we repeat the cycle. For this single acceptance test to pass, we may need to implement many of those tests and so on. So that's a classical way. And in the book, like not sure how many read the book, the one I'm talking about, okay, not many. So basically they are building this, it's like 20 years plus. So like all the UIs and something like that, Java. So they are building this auction sniper. And basically after gathering core requirements, like they come up with this to-do list. Like completing those to-do lists, like it's gonna be a functional system basically after this is done. Right, and kind of there's a little diagram how it should work. So auction sniper is basically like joining, like a bot joining active auctions, and kind of bidding prices and trying to get the best deal and so on. So in a classical way, we would take each of those to-do items and just go one by one, creating a pull request, deploying, seeing how everything goes and so on. Naturally, this is not very practical nowadays, right? Like it's just tedious process. Like if we want AI to kind of do this kind of process for us, it's just gonna take very slow prompting, returning, refactoring, again, reprompting if something didn't happen, and so on. And maybe we don't need it, like maybe we should be pragmatical in this approach. So AI is really great at kind of taking bigger things. So in this case, we would just give the whole to-do list, right? I mean, I have this, I make a plan, and there's a to-do items I have to complete this man, right? So how is it changing from regular? So instead of writing a single acceptance test, I write the whole set of acceptance tests. So each, let's say, we have 7 items, we'll have 7 acceptance tests. Let's say it's going to be sled in our case. Once we have those tests failing, they are red, right? So they're going to guide us, us means me and my agent, to implement the system end-to-end. So we continue with going down to the details, like we did with manual flow in classical way. And here we use, let's say, a skill red, which is make me unit or integration tests failing, so then the agentic loop can take over and kind of have a goal to have failing tests. And it's very important. If you ask AI to just write me tests and implementation together, it's often the tests are going to be just passing in all cases. So it's an important step to separate those. We have first tests, failing tests, then second goal to, second command, let's say, to make those tests pass. And it kind of, it's a loop. It can take a while, depending on the feature. So there's this Ralph Gunham loop, let's say, in our age. And eventually, when this loop is over, we go to validation and refactoring. Validation means, is it production ready? Is it, let's say, does it have like, I don't know, some fallback logic or something? It happens often. Validate clean code, and eventually refactor code to be maintainable for a longer term. And yeah, this kind of book also emphasizes a lot about feedback. And feedback, my means it's runtime feedback, compilation feedback, execution feedback. So like us as engineers should guide our agent, right? So now usually guiding by prompting, by getting a result, and so on and so on. But this is not kind of, it's just tedious to prompt check, send screenshot, something like that. Maybe there's a way to just make this feedback automatic, right? We just give tools to AI to just check it by itself, to gather logs, what's executing, and so on. And especially when it comes to complex systems with state management, with Kafka flows, it becomes very problematic for agents to kind of get into the right track automatically by itself without you needed to guide it, right? Yeah, and your job is to shape the guardrails, the kind of guide the agent. Yeah, so very kind of simplistic approach. Basically, whatever you do, always provide agent with visibility, logs, so agent, like instead of bothering you, can just come up with a working solution by itself. And here's maybe not a famous pyramid of tests, but from my experience, this kind of works the best, is to have this, the biggest middle part, integration, component tests, like in-memory tests. It's kind of, this speed gives us ability to move kind of fast, and those integration tests are just much more kind of performant than, let's say, would be end-to-end tests and so on. And unit tests are usually like a handbrake. So you want to drive fast, right? You don't need a handbrake. Usually they just kind of gives least value and kind of requires changes in code to kind of extra changes in code to refactor and so on. So I kind of trying to avoid usually having a lot of unit tests. Some good practices. Basically, yeah, we have to strive for readable tests, for maintainable tests, for having, let's say, using matchers, and agents are kind of their language. They're language-based, right? If you have English-like tests, like very readable, where it just says that it's like what it should do, the agents will be just excel better. Yeah, so let's say an example. It's a pretty small test, right? It's a Cypress test suite, and it's, yeah, you can kind of comprehend it, like it's, but we have more complex tests, right? So, but we can rewrite it to something nicer, to something more like English, right? It's just less tokens, right? Okay, to summarize, my experience and kind of, I worked this way kind of 9 months, like it really enables velocity. It kind of keeps the context like afloat always, like even if you have context summarization, it doesn't hurt you. Always provide feedback, yeah, to get more efficient agentic loop. And generally we have like a contract where we can set expectations, and it will fail if those expectations are not met. Let's have a better code and less issues in production, right? So that's a Slack channel that I created if you want to have follow-ups, to ask questions and so on. I put some materials, let's say, how those sites are built. It's actually a game engine where you can actually do stuff. So yeah, it was a fun educational project. And yeah, I have some couple of minutes, so I can show some very small kind of workflows, how we do, my kind of main workflow. So I have, let's say, this planted D1 shot, which is like V4 or something like that. And it kind of does like the entire thing, basically, the whole PR with this kind of comment. So there are many questions asked, like something like, 11 questions. And eventually you have this plan. And this plan will do the whole thing. So it will create me like PRDs, ask questions, do the acceptance testing. There are, let's say, some user review points where I want to kind of agent should ask me questions. Is the acceptance test okay? Do the whole TDD cycle. Do the cleanup, user review, like a kind of demo moment. Is code working before we do cleanup? So I check the demo, and then we do a cleanup phase. And that's it. PR is done. So my kind of main work was here, basically, with this plan. And I just leave it, I open new work tree, and go work on another plan. So it works really well.